moving on to the variable declarations. I think we have seen that, the variable declarations. And if you can open any of these examples that you wanted to go with. The latest one that I've shared, the MS Access and the example on the F11, Alt F11. So I'll also give you some kind of important notes on the Power Queries as well. So that's documentation. Right. So this. Okay. So there's an Power Query course notes that I've sent you. You can open that out as well while you get this Access database one. And I'm sharing one of my personal references books as well. I never do this, but doing it for you. So, yeah. Access folder. Just going to one more on the MS Access PDF. That's a super PDF, I would say. So it is a 400 pages, never go, have with that. Okay. Let me share my screen and talk to you on this. Okay.
Sure.
So this gives you, if you can directly come onto this page number 28, this will give you the VBA things and the basics, what is modules and access. And this is where you get to see the screens that we have seen and explaining it in very, very, very detailed way. Okay. So my code and then sub, this is where you get to see these examples as well. And how does it look like? So these were the exactly the same similar examples that we have seen. And if it is going to be in declarations or explicit declarations that we have the local variables, what does it mean, and so on. So it might be at a slightly at a higher level, okay, but this is going to, if you master this, and this can be your super reference book. Okay, it's always going to be there. And it rightly starts from the basic stuff, and then it goes on to most of the information that we have it over there. Okay, errors and error functions, this is going to be like super critical.
Wow.
The reason is on error. So what do you want to do? What is the error handling? So without error handling, a code is not going to be perfect, or I would say up to the mark. So the error handling should be good. If the directory, so let's say what the examples that I'm giving in. So this is the error function, and then don't not really the SQL queries and so on. You can go through that, but you can see the SQL languages. Post selecting that query, test query, and how does it look like? And there's a loop, there's a reset kind of a thing. There's a whole lot of information onto this. Okay, and these advanced techniques. So I would strongly recommend that you complete this. Do not skip. In case you are following this or maybe kind of referencing this. So the charts and graphs are, in which the quick tips and tools are going to be there. Okay, let me. So the images are kind of an okay here, and they're not like really sharp. Okay, but however, this gives you a visual indication in terms of what you need to enter in. Okay, so that's with a 400 pager, I think that's how it's going to get it as well when we try to reduce the file size. So create a graph on report, and even this, you see this, it's a code. What we have done today is by manually clicking that, but this is kind of a code. But remember, while we get this code, it has to be very specific to what we do. Okay, so the report template and table queries and so on, all those. So all these variables that you get to see is the property sheet where you have towards the right or. Okay, that's where you get to see these specific things coming out. Okay, so now so in terms of charts and so on, this how it's going to get created of this, and so on. So this is one of the things. External database is something that you'd want to look at this, because this is ODBC. So this is kind of an joiners or kind of things, of database connections here. It could connect to SQL or Oracle, or Hadoop, Hive, and the other set of databases. So this is going to be one of the things. And API calls are one of, I don't think we'll use this here, but this is the most declare library, link library, basically. um, the dynamic link library, DLLs, and where every application would have its own DLLs, and this is going to get those things on it. And this book is specifically only on the Access, only on the Access VBA. Okay, it has some 400 pages. Okay. So this is going to be by val, for a string, and with your declarations, etc. While you use the DLLs. So this is going to be like super advanced. Okay, while we get this REST APIs and so on. Okay, but this is the best book, I would say, on the Access VBA specifically, not on the VBA but on the Access VBA. But on the VBAs, on the Excel, I can definitely get it there. Okay. Let me try to open the other Power Query that I sent you. Okay. Is that a lot of information just by looking at it?
That's a big one. Both of them.
Both of them. No, it's 43 is still okay. Yeah, I'll tell you. Okay. Okay. So let me once say it.
I can see.
Okay, so this is primarily based on the specific classes that we take on the Power BI and the Power Queries, etc. So it starts with the basic, the essentials, basically the power of Power Query, Power Breaks, and the transformations and powerful transformations kind of a thing. And we show, the online data sources, combine and append the data. So I've covered most of the topics here for you at a high level. Okay. So in the advanced, we get to see the complex solution with merge and interface advanced, where you can build in that custom calling functionality. And that there are some projects like a business dashboard that we create, etc. So I didn't get that to you because I want you to understand just at a high level. Okay, that's not a detailed session for us on the Power Query. Whatever I've given you is an overview and some kind of hands-on so that you are aware of it. Okay, so we did talk about this proper data set. Okay, not proper and proper. I gave you a good example on the Excel. Right. So this is the unit price and how it's going to be the product A, product B, the totals are there, and so on. Okay, and these are the Power Query editors. This is what you should see it here. Okay, and these links, on top might change from the version that you use. This is a 2016 version. If you see the Excel icon here, and what do we call each of this pane is over here. Okay, and second, updating the source location or name. There is a specific set of files that we send along with this, which should be stored in the PQ and a C drive, and that's when the files get opened. Okay, so you see this, yeah, CPQ 504 transported XLSX. That's the data source that we have it here for this Excel server. I didn't share that because that's not really intended classes for you, but just to get you know what it is, right? So updating the sources and local name, how do we update that data source? I mean, of course, we are doing that refresh because the refresh would work, but ultimately, if you were to change the data source, say you have a network path as Y and backward slash and so on, I might have the same network path as in Z. So the Power Query on it wouldn't work. Okay, so because it has a difference changing, then in that cases I might need to change that file to change this. So right. So I would want to show you something. While we are here, I'll just take a quick pause, and if you can share the screen and open up the shared drive that we have, please. We'll start the screen share, and you start screen share, and let's go with it. All right. So can you go to that shared drive that you have? Not this, maybe the I or H drive that we have.
This is my H drive. This stuff.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so can you give me control?
Yep.
All right. So here the quick tips that I would want to say this to you is that you have an H and delete report. So maybe this could be your personal. Maybe I'll slightly go to this. I'm not going to do anything to the data. Okay. So here, this is your maybe a team shared drive. Okay. It starts with I. It may not be the case that everybody would mark this as I. I could change that to H or L or whatsoever drive that I have. Okay. So here I wanted to show you something. How do we get a exact full path of the shared drive? Okay. Maybe I'll place a file here and then later on I'll delete that. Okay. What I'm going to do is quickly I'm going to place an Excel file. Okay. Permission denied. Okay, we cannot place the file. All right. Which is the folder that you access?
Say that again.
Which is the folder that you have access to? All the folders
For what?
here? Maybe in general, and just to place a blank Excel file. What is the folder that you access to? All right. All right. Okay. So let's do this. I'll try to create a new Excel.
Well, this is don't do that.
No?
I share this with everyone in the company.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to do anything. So it's a plain blank Excel. Okay. What I'm going to do is, so here I have an option, and I need your help here. So I'll go to, can you go to the all commands, because the scroll doesn't work well on the screen share. Go to all commands. Find document location. Yeah, perfect. Add on this and then say okay, hit okay to it. Okay. You see that there's going to be an server space, this is going to be the complete address of the server path. Okay. So is it on the other screen? If you want to pull this in the notepad. Yeah. Okay. So you see this. Can you paste that link here? I mean, whatever we have copied. Let's see. Yeah. So if you see this, this is what I'm saying, that the path, that I showed you earlier, instead of giving it in alphabetical drives or so, if you give this in the full path, this is going to be the full shared drive path, and this is going to be the access, a security user access reporting, and this is the file that we have. So if you see this, and if I'm trying to import the files using this address, then if I have the access to the drive and I map it, instead of I map it to A or a B or a C, whatever, or Y, Z, whatever it is not going to make any difference. Because if I'm having this, which means this access, I'm able to access this folder, right? When the files are on this, then I'm able to access that as well. So this is getting back to this source location. Okay, I'll share my screen now. You can delete that file, without saving. Okay, so this is where I thought of sharing this information with you. Instead of doing this C and colon and whatsoever, I'd want you to take up that entire server path so that it's going to be seamless for anybody. If you're doing a Power Query, not just Power Query, but even if you're trying to link some kind of documents and so on, I would strongly recommend that you do it from the full path, and then you get a full path drive onto it. Okay, so if it is in the network drive, you can do a shift and right arrow, and that will get to a copy path. Even that works fine, but that will give you the alphabets of it. Okay, so this is primarily where it would be useful. So I thought maybe I'll give you this tips and tricks in terms of how that's going to be useful. Okay. Now, data types, we have decimal number and a max of 10 digits, and currency, 4 digits to the right of decimal is what we have. It cannot go beyond that 15 decimals, and that has to be the prime numbers and the whole number percentage and so on, using locale and formats in the other regions. Okay, to see this, the foreign data and domestic data. See this. Query options, and you could change the the date attributes of the formats of the dates. So this is how it's going to be. Okay, and there are specific references onto it. A reference when, reference and duplicate when. This is having a duplicate reference query that you can do, and error handlings. In case you have any errors, how do you go this, and there are any specific errors that come up and which are okay according to you. I think that's where we need to take them off. That's one of the things. And home, remove, and remove errors, kind of a thing. Copy paste queries, that's absolutely fine. So these are all the shortcuts for query shortcuts. F2 edit the name of the column or query. So it's not going to be the direct F2 is going to be the edit cell, but in Power Query, if you do an F2, that's going to edit the name of the column or a query. And if you see the arrows keys, the left and right, that's exactly the same thing. Control A is going to select all columns, and Control Space is going to select the entire columns of the selected cell. So these are something similar shortcuts that we get to see in Excel as well, but there are a few differences, like an F2 kind of a thing. Okay, so common time-saving features, where you say that pivoting and the unpivoting, that's something that I'll show you right after this. What is pivoting and unpivoting of the data? Okay, and best practices, source data is in the structure that you need in the query, avoid spaces, and the column profiling, it needs to be done on the entire data, and step names, if you want to update that, on the right hand side that you get to see, activate the formulas, and then so on. So okay, keep in text transformations. Okay, so how do we do that? So time only, local time, and paradise and startup kind of thing. So you can go through this useful, duration features, basically days, hours, minutes, seconds, kind of a thing. Responding time, each duration values, and so on. So and you have an perfect calculations as well in terms of how it is going to show up in the formats that are required. So the unpivot columns. Okay, this is one of the important ones. So I thought I'd show you this first and then go to the example. Right. So the unpivot columns is nothing but, if you see this, I have Jan, Feb, and March, and so on. Okay, I take the same example. But if I have from laptop bag 62,000 and 81,000, if I try to get this onto the charts, you'll have an issue. Okay, because you might need to do multiple things that you need to add to access, y-axis and so on, and dual axis kind of a thing. So what is the best thing according to you on this? The top one or the bottom one? The data table. Is this table going to be better, or this table going to be better?
The first one.
The first one, yeah. So that's where we make a different preference. Okay, I would actually prefer this. The reason is I could drag the month onto the scale y-axis, okay, and simply drag and drop the variables here, right? So this is what I'm going to prefer than this. So this can be a pivot format which is going to be easily readable kind of a thing. But for graphs, for doing analyzing or for the visualizations or doing the formulations, that's going to be slightly bigger. So assuming I have to do maybe these are the prices and or maybe the quantities and I have a price right next to it. Right? If I want to do the price into quantity, assuming the difficulty that you have in this channel, you would need to like cross the different cells and then the profit is going to be something. But here it's going to be at a common place, at one place. The value and the price and the quantity. I mean, whatever the calculation that we get. So it's all going to be at one place. Okay. I want you to rethink about having the preference of data type going to be this here, right? So this is going to be much more efficient than this table. When you are dealing with the data, when you're trying to access the information and put on the specifics of it. Okay. So with the multiple headers and so on, and so pivot a column. If you wanted, I mean, it's the pivoting is nothing but reverse of this. Okay. So we have this data, and if you want to represent this information, yeah, this can be represented in this way. And rather than it's hard to find it this way, but this will be useful for my calculations, useful for my chart representations, and so on. So flat file in the multiple columns, and you can do this, and the merge options that we have, left, right. We have seen this, right? You remember this?
Mhm.
Yeah. And then join options that we have, simply select this and then, kind of the join. Join kinds explain, left outer, right outer, and full outer, and left anti, and right anti, and the inner. Okay, so it's a simple joins that we have it. So registered and attended, if you see this, okay, and this gives you. I mean, I don't think you need this, but this gives you a preliminary understanding of what the joins are in the Power BI. Okay, usually in the Power Queries or Power BI or maybe even other tools, that's going to be left join, right join, and center join. Okay, that's primary three things going to be. But here, it's going to give you, uh, the other options as well. So left anti, rows only, and first. Okay, see what's going to come up. Okay. So these are going to be these names, and so appending data. What does an appending do? How do we do it for the few files? Appending all sheets from a file, kind of a thing, and then so on. Appending files from a folder. We can do this. Yeah. So this is what we have done yesterday. Where we have placed the file, but not exactly. We have selected a file yesterday to get that ESI information. But however, in case you have like 10 or 15 different files, you don't want to re-import everything. Okay. So assuming that you have just one column in one sheet in one file, right? You don't want to do that like 100 times, if you want to import the 100 CSVs or kind of a thing or files. So you can directly copy paste them onto a folder, and then this from file and folder. So this is the navigation that's going to give you the entire set of information. How do we get that out? Okay. Uh, so it's data model. Okay. So the native query, I think we have come towards the end of it. Okay. So what is it really useful for? For query to get and connect to a different data sources, for viewer to create relationships and create data models and interactive reports. This is on the Power BI desktop. As this is like super cool, and just given a training last month. In Jan. Okay. The new version that we have on the Power BI is like super cool, super useful. and its site has an interactive report, so where we could say, find the data analysis and get on in terms of what the analysis is going to be and the visualizations of it. And publish is something that you can publish onto this server, and that you could share with the colleagues who have appropriate access. Okay, so that's pretty much it from this slide. Okay, so now I'll quickly show you the pivoting and unpivoting of the columns. Okay, let me get this for example, which is it's going to be better for us. And okay, let me check this out.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so let's do this. The orders. Okay. Okay. So let me share my screen with you and then take this through. So now I have profit quantities and the sales here. Okay, what I'm going to do is add to data. Simply click on it. Get this out. Okay, got this now. You see this now. What's happening is, okay, I've got this all the information to what's right, and I would want to I would want to, yeah, the profit, the numbers basically. I would want to pivot this column. So what I do is simply right click. Okay, this is okay. This is on the power window. So I'll share new query from file. I'm going to create this. Import this. So I'll do this. It's going to give me the orders, and I'm going to edit this. While I edit this, I'm going to get the query editor. Okay. So on this query editor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the profit, quantity, order row, and sales. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'd want this to be part of a single column. I'd want to do this an unpivot column. Okay. So if you see this, what I've done, if you see this profit is going to be here and so on. Okay. So I'd say attribute in the values, right? And also, if I wanted to fill in even this, okay, let me undo. Now, what are the steps that I perform? I'm going to have it here. Now, unpivoted column, the standard steps. Okay, I'm going to undo this. That's when I have all the steps here. Okay, so the profit, quantity, and sales, right? And even this. Let me see if I have the discount. I want to move them towards the end. That's going to take some time, but bear with me.